Hey everybody, Craig Egan here in Kansas City. I just wanted to do an update about our Kansas City stop. There's a lot of stories and rumors flying around, and I wanted to address them. I wanted to describe what happened in my words and apologize maybe where necessary, and just kind of give a brief overview. So, we got into Kansas City the day of the eclipse. There was a lot of rain going on in the morning, and so we kind of posted up at a Starbucks, prepared what we were going to do, and waited for the sun to basically come out because it was pouring down rain. And we were lucky. The sun broke right about the time the eclipse happened. We had some eclipse glasses, and it was spectacular. We were right in the line of totality, so that was all very cool. The eclipse happened, and then we decided to go over and visit the Vaxxed bus. They were parked in the middle of a parking lot in front of a chiropractor office, who was their host, and there was a small table set up in front of the chiropractor office where there were people standing. Most of them had eclipse glasses. Some of them were talking to, I believe it was was sitting at the table. And so we just kind of posted up across the driveway, basically, the entrance to this parking lot, right next to a gas station. And I got out my vaccines save lives sign, and I got out a new sign I made that said honk for vaccines. And along with the sign, I brought myself one of those little air horns you can buy at Office Depot for going to sporting events, or if you're out boating or whatever. And the idea came to me, good or bad, came to me after we were in Montana. When we were in Helena, Montana, the Vaxxed bus was smart enough to park their car, or their bus, across the street from the Capitol building, which was that day hosting a bagpipe festival. So every time they tried to record their videos and their interviews and their little propaganda film, they would get bagpipes playing in the background. And I didn't have time to learn how to play the bagpipes. So I decided just a small air horn and some cars honking would show up in the background of their Vaxxed videos. Whether that was a good idea or a bad idea, it was my idea. Please don't try to pin this on anybody else. Everybody who supports me probably would have advised against it had I asked them first, and I didn't. I'm going to own this one. So we got out there with our horn, with our sign, and we were out there for probably a good hour and a half. And this part's important, I think, because while we were there, we did see somebody go onto the Vaxxed bus to be interviewed. We have no idea, we didn't have any at the time, what they were saying on the bus. They were inside a bus, but across over by the chiropractor, there were a number of people, maybe 10 people. They at no point came over and told us we were bothering them. They were filming us. They had their little iPads and cell phone cameras and were filming us protesting and getting car horn honks. And even at one point I waved to them while they were filming, and they waved back. But at no point did they come up and speak to us or tell us that anything we were doing was bothering them, even though we clearly were there to bother them. I'm not trying to make it like we weren't. We were clearly there to bother them, because I still believe being a thorn in the side of the Vaxxed bus is a noble venture. But we'll get to that. So we were there for about an hour and a half. All of a sudden, the rain started coming back very heavily. There was thunder and lightning, and as soon as the lightning got right overhead, we decided that being in the same parking lot as, well, anything, poles, protest signs, the Vaxxed bus, if God was trying to smite them, we weren't trying to be very close. So we decided to take a break. We got in the car and went to go get some coffee, and then it just started torrential downpouring. And that's kind of at the point we decided, man, maybe we'll just call it a day. As we were leaving, a police officer pulled into the parking lot. So I don't know if they were coming for us, if they were just coming to get gas. They were maybe coming to get their back adjusted. But as we were leaving, a police officer was pulling in, and I've had that happen too many times in my life to not take that as a sign that it's probably best to not go back. So we went back to our accommodations to dry off and regroup. So later we get on the internet and we look, and it turns out that the person who was being interviewed was talking about her child who died. And while she's telling a very sad and tragic story that I think she incorrectly blames on vaccines, but I'm not trying to get into that with her, you could hear our horns and jubilation outside. And I'll even admit, it makes me look like a dick. And we want to stop the Vax team from spreading their evil propaganda. We want to stop anti-vaxxers from scaring other parents into not vaccinating their children. But the last thing we want to do is take a mom who's grieving for the loss of her child and make that pain worse. That's not what we're trying to do. That's never what we try to do. We try to avoid that at all costs. And I didn't do a very good job of avoiding that this time. And so to her, very specifically, I would like to apologize. We may disagree about many things, but I'm a parent, and I understand that I don't understand. I've never lost a child. I can't possibly understand the pain you go through. And our attack isn't on you. And if we made you cry or we made you sadder than you should have been, that's my fault, and I apologize. And we didn't want that, and we don't want that. And we'll do everything we can going forward on the tour to avoid doing that. So I want to own that part of it. Also, we saw online that there were people claiming that our air horns were there specifically either to or in effect did trigger highly sensitive autistic children. And that one I want to call bullshit on, because we were trying very hard to be aware of that. We knew that that was going to be a possibility, and we knew that if we saw any kids that, you know, looked like they were being upset or anything, we were going to stop immediately. The only children we saw seemed to be the children of the chiropractor, and they were just out playing with their eclipse glasses. At one point, we did see somebody arrive with a baby carrier, and so we stopped honking when that happened because we didn't want to upset the little baby. But at no point did I see any autistic children melting down, or did I see any children of any kind upset at our things. If anything, they were like looking over like, oh, what's the commotion about? We're honking. So I don't think that was true. I understand that that's where the accusation is going to come. I don't think that was true. But the last thing I want to do is I want to put this kind of into a larger context, because while I want to apologize to the mom that I upset, I also want to explain exactly how we got to this point and what the Vax team does to provoke this. Right before we showed up, or the day before, we showed up on Monday. So on Sunday, Polly Tommy posted a video where she kind of called me out, not specifically by name, but she called me out because she knew I was going to be showing up. And the first thing she said about it is, "We will not be threatened and intimidated by an I Love Australia shirt." Now you can see I'm wearing my I Love Australia shirt right now, and that's kind of an inside joke or a poke at her, because she recently went to Australia to promote anti-vaccine bullshit and the Vax tour. And upon leaving, the Australian government gave her a notice that she's not allowed to come back to Australia because they feel that she is a threat to public health. And we can't really do that here, unfortunately, but congratulations and kudos to Australia for doing that. So I decide, I'm gonna rub her nose in it because she deserves it. And so I put on I got myself donated a I Heart Australia shirt, and she considers that a threat. She considers that a threat, a t-shirt. The second thing she said was that, kind of in the same breath, she said, and we've received threats that people are going to sabotage our bus, and we've been talking to the police about that, and we just want to know that the police are on our side. And so I have never once said that I was going to sabotage her bus. I did say that I hope it breaks down, and I did joke about putting turning a bus toy into a voodoo doll, but I never did that, and I would never actually physically touch her bus. I would never get on the bus. They've invited me on the bus. Probably that invitation has been revoked. But I don't want anything to do with their bus. I'm not going to touch their bus. But it was interesting that in the same breath as considering my T-shirt a threat to her, she also mentions that I may be trying to sabotage, or somebody may be trying to sabotage her bus. Okay, Fine. And then the final thing she says, and this is really what I'm trying to get at today, is she says, what these trolls need to know is that when they're attacking me, they're not attacking me. They're attacking these parents. They're attacking these children. And this really is the core of their strategy. Their strategy is this. They don't have science on their side. They don't have medical consensus on their side. There's vast amounts of scientific research and evidence that shows that vaccines are extremely safe and extremely effective, and the consequences of going back to no vaccines would be catastrophic. They don't have any of that on their side. But what they have on their side is they have parents who have been convinced that vaccines injure their children in some way. And this is the struggle that we all deal with in arguing with anti-vaxxers, is that if an anti-vaxxer says vaccines cause SIDS, you can show them study after study, you can show them meta-studies, you can show them all the numbers that say that not only vaccines don't cause SIDS, but actually vaccinated children at half the SIDS rates as unvaccinated children. Now that doesn't mean vaccines are preventing SIDS, because there's a lot of confounding factors there, but it really is good evidence that vaccines aren't causing SIDS if vaccinated children have half the SIDS rate as unvaccinated children. So you can tell somebody that, you can have that argument, you can say, present your evidence, here's my evidence, your assertion is wrong. But if a parent says to you, vaccines killed my child, it's very difficult to argue with them, because even if they're wrong, which they are, even if their doctor on duty of their child said, no, this was not vaccines, it was some genetic condition, or it was some mystery sometimes, it was whatever, but it wasn't something that was caused by vaccines. No matter what kind of evidence you have, the anti-vaxxers say, well, why are you attacking this parent? Why are you attacking this dead child? And so the Vax team, as a strategy, is focusing only on those stories because they don't have science, they don't have evidence. All they have are parents. And so when anybody tries to disagree with them about anything, when anybody says these claims don't add up, these claims don't hold up under scrutiny, the information you're pushing on to people is dangerous and it's bad information, and Polly Tommy will literally tell you that diseases don't kill children, pediatricians kill children. She will tell you, right now you need to focus on elderly people and tell them not to get the flu shot. She's pushing all this crazy bullshit that's dangerous and causes harm and starts measles outbreaks in Minnesota and elsewhere. And every time you try to disagree with them, or even wear a shirt that says, I love Australia, why are you attacking these parents? Why are you attacking dead children? And so they're using these kids, they're using these parents, and they're using these tragedies basically as human shields. So anytime you disagree with them, they can spin it like you're being an insensitive dick. And that's not okay. I'm gonna try, when I go about back on the road, to be less than an insensitive dick and not sit there with my air horn and upset a grieving parent. But I'm not gonna stop because they claim that every single action I make, just showing, if I showed up there quietly with my horn, they would say I'm attacking children. I show up with my t-shirt, I say I'm attacking children. They say I'm attacking these parents. Anything I do, my mere presence is going to tell them, or they're going to spin as attacking these people. So I can't win. I can't win. Even if I packed up and went home right now, the Vax team would be okay with it, but the internet people who hate me would just claim that I chickened out and I stole everybody's GoFundMe money, and that was the plan all along. So there's literally nothing I can do to make anti-vaxxers happy right now. They're gonna fucking hate me. And go ahead. They're already posting my home address online. They're already accusing me of all sorts of BS. Probably gonna try to get me fired again. I don't care, whatever. But that's where we are. That's what happened in Kansas City. There's my words. Again, I want to apologize to the mother that I upset. If there were any children I upset, I apologize to them too. I don't think that was the case. Polly Tommy, Del Bigtree, Anu, Andrew Wakefield, they can all go fuck themselves because they put everybody in this situation in the first place. So that's my update for now. Des Moines, the event they had scheduled at a park. Let me talk about that really quick. So today is supposed to be Des Moines, Iowa, and they were supposed to have a the Vax bus in a public park that they had rented out. Yesterday, I called the city hall, or I called the parks department of that town and asked if they knew who the Vax people were. and what their agenda was. And they did not. They said it was reserved by a local woman, but paid for by a different person, and that they're very vague about what they were going to do, didn't offer a lot of information. I explained who they were. I explained that this is an extremist anti-vaccination organization. I explained some of their quotes, some of their views, and they were very concerned about that and asked me to please call City Hall and talk to a specific person at City Hall. So I called City Hall. They were also very happy that I called, concerned about what was going on, said they would investigate into it. A little bit later, another friend of mine called City Hall, and they were told that immediately that Vaxxed had canceled that stop. So whether they canceled it because we were calling City Hall, whether they canceled it beforehand because they didn't want me showing up with my air horn, I don't really care. I call it a win. They said they're moving to another location. I'm not really trying to go out and stalk them and try to hunt them down in town, even though it was really tempting. I figured after Kansas City, I might as well just give them a day off. But, so I'll let them have their little bit wherever they're going to be in Des Moines. But tonight they're going to be at a movie theater showing a Vaxxed screening if it hasn't been canceled due to low ticket sales. So I'm going to try to pop by that, see if we can make it there. But be on the warning, because I'm not going to use my air horn next to the bus anymore. I am still going to be calling city halls. I am still going to be calling parks departments. I'm going to be calling the venues of where they're going to be located. I'm going to be calling the neighbors of the venues where they're located, because if they've got a chiropractic clinic who is bringing the Vaxxed bus into a parking lot in a medical building where there's pediatrics, they're going to want to know who's showing up next door. So I'm going to be calling them. We're going to do everything we can to get them stopped. So until then, I appreciate the support. Thank you. Apologies to anybody I put in a difficult situation in the past couple of days, but I'm going to try to do my best and go forward. We'll see you soon. Namaste.